A landlord of an 11-unit apartment building ended up with an $18,000 water bill after one tenant left their toilet running. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over an issue that I've personally had to deal with, and that's when you suddenly have a huge utility bill, and of course, caused by the tenants, okay? So when it comes to water bills, I don't like to be the person who is responsible for paying them. And I know a lot of cities now are requiring landlords to be the ones who pay those bills because they realize they're never going to be able to get any money out of tenants, right? So in a building that I used to own in Phoenix, Arizona, I actually had to pay the water, sewer, and trash bill, but the tenants were responsible for the electricity. So I ended up in a situation where one month I had a water bill that was 4 times higher than it normally is. And man, I was upset. I was like, my goodness, there goes all of my profit for this entire month just up in this water bill, right? So, we went down there, we got, we checked every single problem we could in all of the units, right? And we discovered that there was a leaky toilet that was causing this excessive water bill. And that's the same issue that they're having here in this article, but of course they ended up with a much higher bill than I did. I mean, it's insane just how high this bill is. I mean, I can't believe that it could even get that high. I mean, well, to me, it just seems like, well, what did you just leave the water running for months on end? I mean, that's, full blast. And the tenants, of course, they're not going to say anything. They're not very wise to the fact that this cost them something because they don't have to pay that bill. This is part of the reason why I believe that tenants should be responsible for all of their own utilities in every case possible. So even if you have a master meter, it'd be great if you could sub-meter or use the RUB system or, just figure out some way to charge the utility bill cost back to the tenant, because otherwise you're just going to be eating that cost yourself. Like I ate the cost myself when I was covering that water bill, and you know what? It sucked. And even in times where there weren't problems, where I didn't have a running toilet, the water bill would fluctuate hugely. I don't know what the tenants were doing sometimes, but one month I'd have a bill that was, a certain amount. The next month it'd be double that amount. The month after it'd be back down to the original amount. So, I mean, who knows, right? But all I know is that after I sold that property, I vowed never to buy another property where the landlord is responsible for any of the utilities. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? So do you have any properties that require you to pay some of the utilities? Now, believe me, a lot of landlords, they do have these sort of properties, right? But I know that, people who have had the same kind of experience I've had have vowed not to buy anymore. So if you do have a property where you had to pay some of the utilities, have you ever had any outrageous utility bills, and what caused that to go up so much? I'm just curious to hear some of the stories from other landlords on this channel. So anyway, let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from seacoastonline.com, and it says, Exeter landlord shocked by crazy $18,000 water bill caused by one running toilet. So I'm not exactly sure where Exeter is. It says this is from the Portsmouth Herald. I'll look that up later, figure out where that is. I'm sure people will put down in the comment section exactly where it is because I'm naive about the geography of that name. So anyway, let's get into the article. When Scott Serrato and his wife Ann received their quarterly water and sewer bill for their rental property on Chestnut Street last August, they were shocked to see that it was nearly $10,000. The couple discovered a running toilet in one of the apartment units was the culprit. And while the couple thought they made the fix in September, November's bill came in just shy of $8,500. The Serratos, who own an 11-unit multifamily house at 5 Chestnut Street, told the town select board last week they received the crazy bill because they had a tenant who wasn't aware of a leaking toilet, and it went unnoticed for months. And it's pretty much impossible to not be aware of a leaking toilet. I mean, you can hear it running, you can just hear it running. Maybe if the tenant was hearing impaired or elderly, maybe there's a possibility that that's the case. But my bet is that they heard it running, they didn't care. They just did not care. Why would they care? They don't pay the water bill. So it's not an important issue to them. It lands on the landlord. So, the fact that it got to that high, I don't know if one leaking toilet, I mean, that just seems crazy to me. I mean, but it's possible. It's possible, definitely. Like, I had a leaking toilet that caused, my water bill to quadruple, but it wasn't that much. But, maybe it's different because this is such a large building. This is an 11 unit building, whereas my building was only a 4 unit building. And, maybe they're, I don't know. I don't know what would have caused it to be so high. I found out about the leaking. I went there and fixed it myself, and then I found out that the part was defective, so the water kept running, said Scott Serrato. I got a plumber, and he went into the apartment and figured out that was the problem. He fixed it, but at that time, the water had been running for 2 months. So here's my question, right? He already knew that there was a problem, right? And so he went in there and, tried to fix it himself. I mean, like I said, a lot of the small landlords, we will do a lot of the repairs ourselves, and plumbing stuff is not as difficult as a lot of people think, right? But here's my question for the tenant. Like, after the landlord went in there and fixed the problem, like, you had to have notified the landlord that there was a problem that existed in the first place, so the landlord would know to go in there and fix it. Or maybe the landlord just saw the bill. But whatever the case was, right? Why would you not then, after the landlord fixed it, be like, I still hear the water running. Maybe I should let the landlord know. Whatever. I can't say that the tenant was doing this intentionally, but man, how ignorant can you be? Okay? You should have notified the landlord that, hey, this thing is still running even after you tried to repair it, okay? I mean, give me a break. When I see a bill that is that outrageous, right? What is that going to lead me to do as a landlord? I'm going to have to, increase my rents in order to cover these additional costs. That's what landlords do. So this isn't helping any when a landlord has a repair or something broken that causes this much, extra money for them to have to spend. So yeah, I don't think you're getting one over on the landlord, but like I said, I don't believe this was a malicious thing by the tenant. I believe it was just ignorance, just plain ignorance. The Serratos were before the board to appeal an abatement decision by the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee in December, which granted the couple a $4,040.44 reduction in their $9,984.05 August bill, but nothing for their $8,440.61 November bill. The couple was seeking additional relief from the two bills totaling $18,424.66. Now, listen, I don't care what anyone says, right? You own an 11-unit apartment building and you get a bill for 18 grand for utilities, right? Which, I don't know what their normal monthly bill is, but I'm assuming that it is significantly less than this, all right? This might be, 5 to 10 times higher than what their normal monthly bill is. And it basically could wipe all of their profit off of this building for the entire year. For the entire year. Now, I realize at the same time, it's not the fault of the utility company. It's not the fault, and they don't have to give you anything. But, I hope that these people, they do get some sort of break on that bill, because that is just so high, okay? And like I said, we're going to pass those costs down to the tenant. And so this, we can make this mutually beneficial. We're going to keep the tenant's rents lower, but we're not going to have to pay this entire water bill. So, Water and Sewer Advisory Committee Chair Bob Kelly said town policy states each homeowner is only allowed one abatement request every 10 years. They considered the August bill and November bill 2 requests. Still, the $4,040.44, which was a 50% abatement, was considered a new record approval by the committee, he said. What the abatement is for is the excess amount used, explained Kelly. We don't give them the abatement of the whole bill, just for their excess. So whatever their standard average usage is, they would still be on the hook for that. Select woman Molly Cohen, the Select Board's representative on the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee, said it was a hard and unfortunate situation. This is a little out of the ordinary in abating as much of the bill as we did, said Cohen. I do completely empathize with the property owners and the really unfortunate circumstances that they were in. And you know what? Like I said, I don't blame them for saying, hey, we cannot just, give you this for free, okay? But, how about this? How about you work out a payment plan so that you can pay this humongous bill back over, let's say, the next 10 years or something like that, okay? So that this isn't such a huge impact on these property owners, okay? Because it just sucks. It absolutely sucks. And, the only way that you're going to ever be able to get out of this situation, because you know what? A lot of property owners just don't have 18 grand in cash laying around to immediately pay this whole bill off. So a payment plan would probably be the best situation that we could work out for the remainder of the amount. Okay. So yeah, this absolutely sucks, and I feel like, I feel like there's no good solution to this problem other than saying, hey, let's look at making it so that this doesn't happen again. So we go back to what I was saying earlier about sub-metering the property so that each individual tenant has to pay their own water bill. Okay. If you are looking at a property that has one master meter, and I know in a lot of places the buildings are all older there, so there aren't separate individual meters, but if you are looking at that, you might want to consider looking at a different type of property where each individual unit is metered. So that's part of what I was doing. I was looking at 4+ unit buildings before, right? And I was like, okay, well, in these 4+ unit buildings, there's oftentimes a master water meter, if nothing else, right? And I was like, but when I look at duplexes, when I look at a duplex, each individual side of a duplex is metered separately, right? Which is why I ended up moving over to investing in duplexes instead of buying larger buildings, okay? So anyway, interesting story. Let me know what you think of this whole situation down in the comment section below.